Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. In today's episode, we're talking about use my pronouns or lose your job. That's because in the federal courts right now, there are cases where Christian teachers are suing either to get their jobs back or to keep their jobs in public schools where they're being asked to violate their own belief systems by using pronouns that do not sync up with a student's biological sex. So, for example, in Brownsburg, Indiana, a music teacher who's a Christian refused to go along with the school's policy to use whatever pronouns a student requested. Now, it is important to note that in these cases, what isn't happening is that Christian teachers are aggressively misgendering, to use the culture's language, students. So in other words, a student who says, I'm now, even though I was born male, I'm now female, the Christian teacher isn't saying, no, I'm going to use he and him. In all these cases, Christian teachers have offered an alternative. One teacher, for example, offered to only refer to all students, not just those who want to change their pronouns, by using their last name. Another teacher offered the idea that she would simply not use pronouns for any student. What they're asking for is the right to be consistent in the way they deal with all students, but in a way that is not in violation with their own belief system. And what school systems are consistently saying is, no, that's not enough. And what really set me off, by the way, when I was reading an article in the Wall Street Journal this week about this, is a quote from one high school principal who said this, and I'm just going to read the quote to you. They said, "Our personal belief systems matter. However, if they are in conflict with what we are doing here, some of that needs to stay checked at the door." Well, I don't have time to tell you all the things that are wrong with that sentence, but let me just hit you with, 5 of them. Number one, high school principal, what you're doing here should be education, not indoctrination, and certainly not weighing in on the moral and philosophical and, frankly, genetic issues that are beyond you. Meanwhile, in Europe, where these clinics that have been doing gender reassignment surgery are closing right and left because Europe, which is ahead of us, is realizing this is damaging to students, you have high school principals who are now saying, no, it's not just my job to educate your children with your tax dollars. It's my job also to make sure that we're indoctrinating all students with what is increasingly looking like a radical and frankly stupid approach to helping children deal with complex mental, emotional, and social issues. But I also notice that this principal doesn't just say, hey, what we're doing here, but then they also say some of that needs to stay checked at the door. Now, don't miss that, because what the principal is saying is that some people's belief systems and some aspect of certain people's belief systems need to be checked at the door. Because what this principal isn't saying is that your support, for example, of LGBT issues and hanging flags in your doorway, that doesn't need to be checked. That part of your value system, that can stay. But if you're an evangelical Christian who believes in the crazy idea that people are born by the particular sex that they really are, and that we help people only in so much as we're helping them to deal with reality, that gets checked at the door. What the principal actually means is that she'll let you know which parts of your belief system you can bring into the schools and which parts you can't, which is another way of her saying the only belief system that gets to come in without checking anything at the door is hers. And you see, that's the problem, isn't it? Public schools, if we're not careful, are increasingly becoming places where one ideology beats all other ideologies. One way of thinking is what gets endorsed and what gets taught and what gets represented to students. Now the message to teachers is, hey, not only do you have to do this job where you don't get paid very well, but you have to believe everything we tell you to believe, and you violate your own conscience if we require you to do that. It begs the question, how much longer, if the courts go the wrong direction on this, that Christians are going to want to keep teaching? And I wonder if public school systems are ready for the number of Christian teachers. By the way, my mom is a third grade teacher who fits into this category. are going to want to keep doing this job in the public school setting. Listen, this is an issue we have to be paying attention to. Run for school board, show up to parent-teacher meetings, ask questions, think through the educational choices you make, because what the courts are deciding on isn't just theoretical and philosophical. It's what kind of adult voices get to speak into the hearts and minds of your children. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. While you're here, we'd love to ask you to hit subscribe or to like so you get future content. If you listen to the audio version too, make sure you leave a review and a comment. That really helps. Consider sharing it on social media and helping us get the word out. And hey, while you're here, check out all the other content that Christ Community Chapel is putting out, including the videos that are around me right now.